Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Initial box office projections now coming in from Deadline magazine. And their projections in the past have been better than most. And as you can see right here, what the f... Renegade Online. Like button, subscribe, comments, stuff and things. Oh, man. I'm at a loss with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at this point. I'm stunned. I don't know if we've seen an article like this 3 weeks before a film has come out in Deadline. Usually they stick projections out maybe a week or two ahead of a new big movie coming out. This is a big article from Anthony D'Alessandro, 21 days before Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny comes out. This is a warning flag to the Walt Disney Company and to basically everybody that this movie is going to tank and tank hard. I need to go back and remind everybody of the previous video that we did on this from the initial tracking that came in from Box Office Pro right about a week ago. Last week, those initial numbers had Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny opening between 81 and 111 million. And I said, give it some deference and say it opens up at around 100 million. We did the math. Didn't think it was going to do any better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Well, obviously, this tracking report has since been updated, and Deadline is so anxious to get it out there that they just jumped into it today, and I still can't believe it. So going back to the Deadline article we have here, in the wake of the world premiering in Cannes to a lackluster film review at 50% rotten, even lower in the top critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, Disney Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is currently looking at a $60+ million domestic opening. Holy crap. 60... We have gone from 81 to 110 just 6 days ago. Now that tracking has collapsed down to 60+ million. And again, I tend to find that Deadline's numbers are fairly accurate. So then why are they putting this out 3 weeks ahead of time? This is a message to everybody out there. Something's got to happen, and something's got to happen fast. If this movie tanks this bad, this is going to be one of the biggest humiliations for the Walt Disney Company I think they will have ever had. Now, they do hedge the bet a little bit by saying that the movie does open on June 30th, heading into what is conceivably a 5-day play period, given that Independence Day falls on a Tuesday. Dial of Destiny's 3-day is down from the $100 million 3-day of the last film, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And this latest sequel reps the finale for the entire franchise. Again, I call foul on that. The final film of the franchise was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Crystal Skull opened on a Thursday, Memorial Day weekend in 2008, earning a total over 5 days of $151.9 million. Logan filmmaker James Mangold took over the helming of the franchise from architect Steven Spielberg, who, as I remind folks, even though Spielberg and Lucas will have executive producer credits on this film, they've had absolutely nothing to do with it whatsoever. But here is where the real problem could come in. Currently, Dial of Destiny is tracking significantly with older guys over younger, which has many comping the pick to the Daniel Craig 007 finale, No Time to Die, which opened at $55 million, and 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout, $61.2 million. But Valiant, hey, that's not too bad because those movies both legged out extremely well and brought in a bunch of money globally. The problem, of course, with this one is that there's more fierce competition both before and after this film to garner audience attention, and if the reviews turn out to be correct, there is no reason to go back and see this movie over and over again. I think this is going to be a one and done for most of its audience members out there, and if they can't get the younger crowd to come in and are going to rely solely on the older crowd, that only works if you get really good word of mouth. Top Gun Maverick did it with a skewed older demographic, but they went back 3 and 4 times because the movie was excellent. Nobody at this point, even the Hollywood trades, the major Hollywood trades, expect this movie to be anywhere near as good as what Top Gun Maverick was. Some folks are saying a $70 million start for Dial of Destiny. That's quite a stretch. That's a quote from Anthony D'Alessandro. That's quite a stretch. He doesn't even think at this point, with the 3-week lead time he's giving the story, that it can do anything to salvage to get this movie over $70 million domestically in a 3-day open. That's insane. This is a $300+ million production budget picture. Disney's going to have $500 million sunk into making and marketing this film by the time this actually releases on June 30th. He goes on to say that realize that Lionsgate's John Wick Chapter 4, just a couple of months ago, opened to $73.8 million with double the tracking metrics that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is currently showing. I can't even. Disney will need to pick up the slack in the coming weeks in their marketing to get more interest from younger guys. Their distraction now being Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in theaters and the upcoming Warner Brothers DC The Flash on June 16th. However, that hard word of mouth out of Cannes is quite the hurdle. Now, the article goes on to say it's one of the better starts for Indiana Jones, blah, blah, blah. Of course, the other 3 movies before Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out between the years of 1980 and 1990. It's quite a different economic era. And of course, no inflation adjustments were made. They were just simple raw box office numbers. No, this is going to be the biggest disaster in Indiana Jones history, and this is what we're going to send Harrison Ford out with. The reason that they're having trouble getting people to want to go see it is simply because nobody wanted this movie to be made to begin with. And when I say nobody, sure, are there a few people out there that would say, yeah, I'd love to see Harrison Ford in action one last time. But quite frankly, there's nowhere near enough of them to justify $500 million, again, $500 million to produce and market this film. The market just wasn't there. This is a stubbornness on the part of Disney because they don't know how to create anything new anymore. They just have to retread what came before it, no matter how bad it's going to turn out, and no matter how talentless a group of storytellers they seem to employ at this point on a consistent basis. Honestly, who wants to see 80-year-old Harrison Ford playing second fiddle to some obnoxious British feminist that drags him around and is the real hero of the story, according to many of the folks that saw the film in Cannes? Maybe some of them missed something in the film that was better because they were too busy, as Variety pointed out, whispering to each other in boredom while the premiere was going on. Yeah. This is a great way to spend $500 million, especially at a time when Disney is desperate for cash with the Comcast Universal sale of Hulu coming up. We'll keep covering this over the next few weeks as newer numbers and more refined numbers come out as we get closer and closer to opening weekend. But I want to draw one last piece of attention to that one line once again, that Anthony D'Alessandro thinks that a $70 million opening weekend is, quote, quite a stretch. That is harsh words from a guy like him at Deadline Magazine. He just doesn't see any hope for this movie because it's going in the wrong direction. Again, where they were projecting $80 to $110 million a week ago, and that has collapsed down to 60. This is terrible news. Nobody is interested in this picture, and if Disney doesn't over-ramp their marketing machine very, very quickly, they're going to be in even deeper stuff come June 30th. Because as of right now, the oxygen is going to get sucked out of the room for the next couple of weeks with movies like Transformers, Disney's own Elemental picture, which is probably not going to go anywhere either, and then, of course, DC's The Flash. And 12 days after Indiana Jones drops into theaters, Tom Cruise is back for a follow-up to his blockbuster last summer, but this time with the Mission Impossible franchise and Dead Reckoning Part 1. That is going to take a lot of the international markets off the table because those films play very well overseas. As we've said before, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is going to have a very short window for which to get it done. And at this point, it looks like it is near hopeless that it will.